Okay, good morning, boys and girls. We are going to continue our study of multimodal text. Yesterday, we looked at what multimodal text are, and we determined that it's text that presents information to us in more than one way. We may read it, we may write it, we may listen to it. It could come in the form of pictures when we talked about text messages and things of that nature. And then, once we did that, we looked at how we could make inferences and predictions with multimodal um, sources, right? And we used our pictures of the Southern Cascade Glacier. Well, today we're going to add on to what we did yesterday. You pretended you were scientists, and you're going to continue to do that today. Well, what you see here on the screen, it says credible source. So today you're going to be looking at reviewing websites. This is a different mode, right, of communication, of information. And so you're going to review the websites today, and you're going to learn how to do that and then practice it, okay, using a graphic organizer. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want you to take about 5 minutes or so, and I want you to think about a time where you had a different opinion than someone else, okay? And I want you to actually jot this in your reading journal. And for the title for today, I want you to put multimodal credible source. And I just want you to just quickly describe a time when you had a different opinion from someone else. Okay? If it was an agreement, a disagreement, I'm sorry, I want you to tell me a little bit about it. Okay? Describe what went on and how was it resolved, right? So, when we have disagreements, sometimes we can't tell who's right. Sometimes we can, right? And so, but in some instances, we may never be able to tell definitely whose opinion is quote unquote right, okay? So I want you to think about what I just asked you and try to apply that to being a scientist and what you know about science, right? What you've been talking about with Miss Boston and what Miss excuse me, and what scientists do. Okay. When scientists have different opinions and perspectives, meaning the way that they see things, it may be difficult sometimes to tell whose ideas are really right. So, um, we may look at their explanations and we can't really figure out which one of their explanations most accurately fit what's actually occurring sometimes, right? So, I want us to think about what ingredients we need in order for someone's perspective or their opinion um, to be seen as credible, okay? Indicators of credibility. Now, when I think about that, you know, I think about ways that we can show, right? And so, for example, we could conduct our own experiments to test some of the scientists' ideas or perspectives, right? We can examine or look at the scientists' credentials, like do they have formal education? Have they really studied in a particular area? You know, and if they specialize in that area, we may be more inclined to kind of believe what they're saying. We could see like which perspective has the majority of the scientists agreeing with it. So if we have two competing sources, we can kind of look at whose perspective other scientists are leaning towards. Okay, which one has the majority of other scientists that agree with them. Okay, we could look at it for scientists is involved in the organization or not, right? So, what we're going to do today, with all of that, looking at credible sources, because we know out on the internet there are many, many sources, and we have to be able to sift through and determine which ones are really credible, meaning ones that we can really rely on, okay? So we are going to be looking at a handout today. You're going to get an opportunity to do some research on your computer looking at websites, okay? So I'm going to show you the form that you're going to be using here. So just a second. Okay, so this is our handout that we are going to be practicing with today, okay? I don't want you to be nervous about anything today. This is just you practicing, determining credible sources, okay? Sources that we can rely on the internet, because as I said just a few seconds ago, we know that we have some websites out there that anybody can add to, and we can't just believe everything that we see on the internet. So let's look here at the top. It says, within scientific communities, people constantly debate explanations for events in nature. While most scientists believe that the earth is warming due to increased greenhouse gases, there is not universal consensus on this subject, meaning there's not an agreed upon, right, reason. It says, as you navigate, meaning as you look at these websites today on global warming, you are going to encounter many diverse perspectives, many different outlooks, right? One scientist may say that the earth is warming due to one thing, and another scientist may say, no, I disagree with that. I think the earth is warming because of this particular reason. And what we want to look at is how can we tell whose ideas are most credible? And so here is the center of our disagreement. This is the great debate. One scientist says humans cause global warming by increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Another perspective, or another scientist, says even though the earth is becoming warmer, this climate change is not primarily caused by human activity. So this scientist says it's us. We're causing this issue, right? Whereas this particular science is saying, no, not so much. I think it's caused by some other things. So, what you have here, you are going to look at some of these websites, okay? And you are going to pick just two. What I want you to do is you're going to choose one from this particular scientist's viewpoint. You're going to choose one of these. And then you're going to choose one of these, okay? Which one of these is more credible, okay? And so, at the bottom of your graphic organizer, there are two questions, okay, on this particular page. So, on this side, you are basically going to be answering the same question for each perspective. So, for this particular perspective that feels like humans are the reason for the global warming, it says, please choose one of the websites on the list above and answer the following question. According to this source, what specifically causes global warming? Okay. And then the second question, according to the website that you choose from above in this column, what, if any, are the effects of global warming? And then you're going to do the same thing or repeat the same two questions about one of the websites that you choose from this side of the great debate, okay? But depending on which website you choose, please make sure that you add the name. So whether it's the U.S. Senate report, the Heartland Institute, computer models fail to predict climate, or global warming fast facts, please make sure that you indicate in box number 1 which website you use. Just the name. You do not need to write out the entire web address, okay? Once you've answered those really two simple questions, then you're going to move on and you're going to attempt to answer two more. Here's another part of the argument, right? This particular perspective says again, humans cause global warming by increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The question says, according to the same website, you're using the same website, what is it that people can do about global warming? And if the website says that there's something that can be done, just jot briefly here what can be done. And on this side, the same thing, okay? The arguments are the same, okay, from the beginning of the great debate. This side, this perspective feels like humans is causing global warming. This side, and they argue a different perspective. They say, no, it's not caused by us humans. It's caused by other factors, okay? And so then you're going to answer question number 4. Do you believe that this source is credible? Meaning it's reliable, okay? And you're going to do the same thing for this side. So you're not choosing sides. You are actually going to be examining one website from this side of the great debate and then one website from this side of the great debate, okay? And finally, if we get to this today, we will work together as partners. But I think what we're going to do is hold off on this part because the actual research part that you're going to be doing, let me scroll back up for you, here of the great debate, and evaluating these websites and then answering the 4 questions about the website, I think that is going to take the majority of our time today, okay? So just as a reminder, we are looking at the credibility. This is a different mode or a different modality that we as readers have at our expense for us to be able to gain information or read information, okay? So we're going to be looking at websites today. So again, your job is to choose one of these 4 websites on this side and then choose one of these 4 websites on this side. And you're going to answer these 2 questions and these 2 questions. That's all you're going to do today, okay? So Ms. Jensen's going to scroll back up here for you. And I want you to please make sure that you watch the videos and look at the Inca charts that I have attached today about what global warming is and about what greenhouse gases are, just so that you can have a little bit of background. So I thought that this would be a neat activity for you today, for you to be able to practice going out onto the web, researching websites, and then being able to answer 4 short questions about the information that those websites are able to give you about this debate, right? About this disagreement in the science community, okay?